Be me, 42 years old, corner office on the 34th floor, just closed our Series D funding at a valuation that would make most people weep with joy. Built this company from nothing, from a spare bedroom in my overpriced apartment to 300 employees across 4 offices. We make enterprise software for supply chain management, boring as hell, but profitable beyond belief. Every morning I walk past that Forbes cover they framed for me, the one where I'm crossing my arms and smiling, that smile I practiced in the mirror for weeks. Today feels different, though. Today feels like the beginning of something. Been noticing things for months now, little things that add up. The way certain people dominate meetings, the way they interrupt, the way they explain things everyone already knows, the way they take credit so naturally, like breathing. Started keeping a document on my laptop. Just observations, really. 47 instances in the last month alone of male employees. Speaking over female colleagues in meetings. 63% of promotions in the last year went to men, despite women making up 51% of our workforce. Did the math myself. Spent 3 weekends going through HR data with a bottle of wine and a growing sense of clarity. The numbers don't lie even when people do. Called a board meeting for this afternoon. Spent all morning rehearsing my pitch. They'll understand once I explain it properly, once they see what I see. This isn't about revenge or anger or whatever small-minded interpretation people will try to force onto it. This is about optimization, about creating the best possible work environment, about removing obstacles to excellence. My company, my vision, my rules. Board meeting goes better than expected, though Jenkins from the investor side keeps making that face he makes, that concerned face, that maybe you should slow down face. But I have the majority vote and everyone knows it. Explain the new policy, carefully, using all the data I've compiled. We'll be restructuring based on performance metrics, cultural fit, and alignment with company values. The fact that this will predominantly affect male employees is simply a correlation, not the causation. We're not firing men for being men. We're firing underperformers who happen to be men. The distinction matters, legally and ethically. Thompson from legal looks like she wants to say something but doesn't. Good. I hired her for her expertise, not her opinions. Policy rolls out next Monday, giving HR the weekend to prepare the paperwork, spend the next few days feeling electric, alive in a way I haven't felt since the early days. This is what leadership looks like, making hard decisions that others are too scared to make. Thursday afternoon, Marcus from engineering asks for a meeting. He's one of the good ones. Always respectful, always listens. Figured he'd understand better than most. Instead, he asks if I've really thought this through. Tells me that 60% of our senior engineering team is male, and if the policy affects them, we'll lose institutional knowledge. Such a typical response, acting like they're irreplaceable. Tell him that everyone is replaceable. That's basic management theory. He leaves looking defeated, and I feel a tiny twist of something in my stomach. Ignore it, push it down. Feelings are not data. Friday morning, get an email from our head of HR asking to discuss implementation timeline. She wants to slow things down, do it in phases. Absolutely not. Rip the bandage off quickly, clean break. The longer we wait, the more time people have to lawyer up or cause problems. She sends back a 3-paragraph email with the subject line, legal concerns. Delete it without reading. I have actual lawyers for this. Weekend passes in a blur of preparation. Reviewing the list of names, 147 employees. It's more than I initially calculated, but the metrics don't lie. Some of these guys have been with me since the beginning. David, who did our first website redesign in his apartment. Chris, who worked 80-hour weeks during the Series A crunch. But sentimentality is not strategy. Nostalgia is not a business plan. Monday morning arrives with unseasonable rain. Spent 2 hours on my hair and makeup. Appearances matter on days like this. Need to project confidence, certainty, unwavering vision. The terminations are scheduled to happen simultaneously at 10 a.m. across all offices. HR has been briefed, security has been briefed, IT has been briefed to revoke access exactly at the moment. I'll address the remaining staff at 11 via video conference. 9:55. I'm in my office watching the clock. You can see people moving normally out in the main workspace. No idea what's coming. There's a kind of power in that, knowing something they don't. 10 o'clock happens silently from my perspective. Just watch as people start being called into conference rooms. Take a sip of coffee. It's gone cold, but I drink it anyway. My phone starts buzzing. Messages from office managers. San Francisco office, complete. Austin office, complete. New York office, in progress. Boston office, 2 employees not present, will handle remotely. 10:23, my desk phone rings. It's security from the main floor. There's a situation. Apparently Jake from sales is refusing to leave, demanding to speak to me personally. Tell security to escort him out, that's what we pay them for. Hang up before they can respond. More calls, more texts, everything blurring together. 10:45, someone knocks on my office door. It's Sarah from product. Her face is blotchy and red. She says we just fired her entire team, all 7 of them. Says she can't deliver the roadmap without them. Tell her this is an opportunity to rebuild better, to hire people who actually fit our culture. She stares at me like I'm speaking another language. Starts to say something, stops, leaves. 11 o'clock, time for the all hands. Connect to the video conference. 237 participants. Can see tiny thumbnails of faces, most of them women now, which was the point. Begin my prepared remarks about bold leadership and necessary change, about building the kind of company where everyone can thrive, about removing toxic elements and creating space for authentic voices. Someone unmutes and asks if we're going to hire replacements. Of course we are. Better replacements, more aligned replacements. Someone else asks how we're supposed to meet our Q3 commitments with half the engineering team gone. Explain that this is about long-term thinking, not short-term panic. More questions. Increasingly hostile in tone. End the meeting early. Tell everyone to get back to work. Spend the afternoon fielding calls from investors. They've seen the news. Word travels fast in our industry. Assure them this is a strategic reorganization. Nothing more. Remind them of our growth trajectory, our market position. Most of them seem satisfied, or at least quiet. Jenkins calls last, speaks in that careful way people use when they think you're unstable. Asks if I've considered the optics, the potential for lawsuits. Tell him I have an entire legal team for exactly this scenario. He says something about fiduciary responsibility, and I stop listening. End the call while he's mid-sentence. Tuesday morning, wake up to 17 missed calls. First one I return is Thompson from legal. She sounds tired, says she's been up all night. 3 separate law firms have already filed notices of intent to sue. Class action potentially, discrimination, wrongful termination, the whole playbook. Ask her if we knew this would happen, and she says, yes, we discussed this. Don't remember that discussion, but whatever. Ask her what our defense strategy is. Long pause before she says that our defense is complicated by some of the documentation I provided to the board. The documentation that explicitly tracked employees by gender. Feel my stomach drop, but keep my voice steady. Tell her to handle it. That's literally her job. She asks if I want to consider settlements. Absolutely not. Settling is admitting wrongdoing. Hang up and immediately get a call from our PR firm. Apparently Bloomberg is running a story this afternoon. They got quotes from former employees. The headline uses the word purge. Tell PR to get ahead of it. Issue a statement about performance-based restructuring. They ask if I want to review the statement before it goes out. No time. Just send it. Check Twitter, even though I know I shouldn't. We're trending, not in a good way. Lots of schadenfreude from people who love watching successful women fail, but also criticism from people I thought would understand. Women in tech I've shared panels with, people I considered allies. They're using words like extremist and counterproductive. One tweet has 17,000 likes. Says, I'm doing more harm to feminism than the patriarchy ever could. Close the app. Throw my phone across the office. It hits the wall but doesn't break. Annoying. Wednesday brings news that our biggest client is requesting a meeting to discuss relationship continuity. They've been with us since year 2, 40% of our annual revenue. Their VP of operations was apparently college roommates with one of the guys we fired. Meeting is scheduled for Friday, giving me 2 days to prepare. Spend Wednesday afternoon in back-to-back calls with department heads. Engineering says they need to hire at least 20 people immediately to cover critical functions. Ask how quickly we can recruit and onboard. The new head of engineering, promoted just Monday, Says realistically, 4 to 6 months. 4 to 6 months. Are you joking? She's not joking. Her face is completely serious. Explains something about specialized knowledge and security clearances and infrastructure complexity, and tell her to figure it out faster. That's what she's being paid for. She nods, but I can see she doesn't believe it's possible. Sales reports that 3 major deals in the pipeline have gone dark. Prospects aren't returning calls. Meetings are being canceled. Ask what the common thread is, and they say the common thread is Bloomberg article. Prospect companies don't want to be associated with controversy. To tell sales to find new prospects then, market is full of companies. Thursday morning, arrive at office to find protest outside building. Small group, maybe 20 people, but they have signs and someone with a megaphone. Security says they showed up at 7 a.m. Signs say things like, sexism works both ways, and discrimination is discrimination. One sign just has my face with a red X through it. Use the garage entrance instead. Take the freight elevator. Get to my office and there's a resignation letter on my desk. Sarah from Product, the one who came to see me Monday, says she can't in good conscience continue working here. Says the policy has created a toxic environment and destroyed team cohesion. Says she's disappointed in me personally. That last line stings more than it should. Crumple the letter and throw it away. Then immediately retrieve it from the trash. Smooth it out. Put it in a drawer. Don't know why. 9 a.m. Emergency board meeting that I didn't call. Jenkins is there in person. Flew in from Seattle specifically. This is never a good sign. He does most of the talking. The other board members just nod along. Says the investors are concerned about company stability. Says the lawsuits are a serious financial risk. Says my leadership during this crisis has been questionable. That word, questionable, like I'm some kind of experiment gone wrong. Defend every decision, walk them through the reasoning again. They're not listening, can see it in their eyes. They've already decided something. This meeting is just theater. Jenkins suggests I take a temporary leave of absence while things stabilize. Suggest instead that everyone remember who built this company. Remind them that I have controlling interest, that I can't be forced out. Thompson from legal clears her throat. Says, actually, the shareholder agreement has provisions. Provisions for what? I ask, already knowing. Provisions for removal of officers during times of crisis requires 70% board vote. Look around the table, counting votes in my head. Jenkins, definitely yes. The 2 investors from the Series C, probably yes. Our CFO, who I hired 3 years ago, maybe. Thompson, unknown. The 2 independent board members. Could go either way. Call for a vote right there. Force their hand. Want to see who's really loyal. Motion fails, but barely. 4 in favor, 3 against. Jenkins looks frustrated, but accepts it. Meeting ends with vague promises to reconvene next week. Friday arrives and I've barely slept. Meeting with our biggest client is at 2 p.m. Spend the morning preparing a presentation about continuity of service, highlighting our redundancies, our processes, our commitment to excellence. Noon. Get a text from their VP's assistant. Meeting canceled. No explanation. Call their main number, get transferred 4 times, finally reach someone. They're exercising the 60-day termination clause in our contract. Say it's a business decision, nothing personal. Everything is personal. That's the lie people tell themselves. Sit in my office with the door closed, staring at nothing. This was supposed to work. The math was supposed to work. Remove the obstacles. Create space for better performance. Achieve better results. Simple, logical, obvious. Except reality is messier than spreadsheets. Revenue projections for next quarter are down 40%. 12 more employees have resigned, all of them women. The lawsuits now number 7 separate cases. Legal fees are approaching $2 million. Recruiting has received 400 applications for our 20 open positions. Sounds good until you realize we normally get 3,000. And most of the 400 are unqualified. People just hate applying to make a point. Stand up and walk to the window. Look down at the city. Used to love this view, this sense of being above it all. Now it just feels lonely. Wonder if this is how Icarus felt, that moment of realization. Shake my head. No, that's not the right metaphor. Icarus was hubristic and foolish. I was strategic and principled. If people can't see the difference, that's their limitation, not mine. Saturday and Sunday blend together in my apartment. To keep thinking about going into the office but can't find the motivation. Scroll through news coverage obsessively. We're not trending anymore, replaced by some celebrity scandal. Worse than being criticized is being forgotten. Monday morning, force myself to shower and dress properly. Arrive at office at 6 a.m. to avoid protesters. They're still there. Smaller group now, but more committed. Same faces as last week. Dedicated to their misguided cause. Get to my desk and start going through emails. 437 unread messages. Start with the ones from the board. Figure those are most urgent. Jenkins has sent a proposal for restructuring leadership. Wants to bring in a chief operating officer to handle day-to-day. Says I can remain as CEO but in a more visionary, less operational role. Code for sidelining me in my own company. Delete the email. Next email is from our head of HR. She's resigning. Says the stress is affecting her health. Says she can't continue implementing policies she morally opposes. Morally opposes, like she's some kind of ethics authority. She's in HR. Her job is literally to do what she's told. More resignations throughout the inbox. Feels like everyone's jumping ship. Around noon, my assistant knocks and enters without waiting for response. She never does this. We have rules about this. Her face is white. She's holding her phone. Shows me a tweet from our company's official account. Except I didn't approve any tweets today. It's an apology. Full corporate apology for the restructuring. Says it was a mistake. Says we're committed to diversity and inclusion. Says we're working to make things right. Who authorized this? Who has access to our accounts? She says the marketing team made a decision collectively. The marketing team, making decisions about company policy, tell her to delete it immediately. She says it has 40,000 retweets. Deleting it will look worse. Tell her I don't care how it looks. Delete it now. She nods and leaves quickly. Check Twitter, and the tweet is gone, but screenshots are everywhere. Now there are two narratives, the original firings and the unauthorized apology. We look incompetent, chaotic, out of control. Because we are incompetent, chaotic, out of control. No, that's not right. They are. Everyone around me is. Stand up and pace the office. Try to think strategically. Try to find the path forward. Could hire back. Some of the fired employees spin it as listening to feedback. No, that's capitulation. That's admitting defeat. Could double down, explain the vision more clearly, make people understand. No, clearly explanation isn't the problem. People are choosing not to understand, could resign, walk away, start over somewhere else. The thought appears unbidden, and I physically recoil from it. This company is mine, built from nothing, carries my vision, to not going anywhere. Tuesday brings an unexpected visitor. Angela Chen used to work for me 4 years ago as VP of Sales. Left to start her own company. We've stayed friendly, if not friends. She asks if we can talk off the record. Sure, why not? Nothing is on the record anymore anyway. She sits across from my desk. Looks around the office like she's assessing something. Tells me she's heard things. Wanted to check in. Appreciate the concern, but I'm fine. Company is fine. Everything is fine. She does this little smile, sad and knowing. Says, I sound. Like she did right before her first startup failed. Her company didn't fail. It got acquired. That's different. No, she says. Her first company, before that one, the one no one talks about, ran it into the ground trying to prove a point. Lost everything. I don't see how this is relevant to my situation. She leans forward, speaks carefully. Says that being right and being effective are different things. Says that she's watched me over the years, watched me get angrier. Angrier about what? I ask, getting defensive. About everything, she says. About the unfairness, the obstacles, the way the game is rigged. And she's not wrong, it is rigged, but anger is a reasonable response to injustice. She says anger is fine, but letting it drive every decision is not. Says I've become so focused on fighting the system that I've stopped building what I actually wanted to build. Feel something crack inside my chest, pressure I didn't know I was holding. She's wrong, this is exactly what I wanted to. Build. Except is it though? Remember the early days, the excitement of solving problems, creating something useful. When did that become secondary to making a point? When did proving something become more important than building something? Angela is still talking, but I'm not hearing the words anymore, just watching her mouth move, kindness in her eyes that feels like pity. She stands up eventually, says she hopes I figure things out, leaves her card on my desk, says to call if I need anything. After she leaves, I sit very still for a long time. Wednesday morning, wake up and can't remember falling asleep. Still in yesterday's clothes, at my desk, sun coming through the windows. Must have worked through the night, though I don't remember what I worked on. Check my computer. Dozens of documents open. Financial projections, all bad. Org charts with too many empty boxes. Draft emails to the board that I apparently never sent, probably for the best. The language is unhinged, paranoid, accusatory. Don't remember writing them, but they're in my style. Phone is dead. Plug it in and wait for it to power up. 63 missed calls. Feels like a bad sign. First voicemail is from Jenkins, timestamp 3 a.m. Says we need to talk immediately. Tone is serious. Second voicemail is from Thompson. Says there's been a development in the lawsuits. Third voicemail is from our CFO. Says we need to discuss cash flow urgently. Don't listen to the rest. Already know they're all bad news. Call Jenkins first. He answers on the first ring like he was waiting. Asks where I've been. Says he's been trying to reach me for hours. Who was working? Is that a crime now? He ignores the sarcasm. Says the board is meeting tonight. Reminds him that board meetings require 48 hours notice per the bylaws. He says, this is an emergency session. Bylaws have provisions. Of course they do. Bylaws always have provisions when people want to get rid of you. Meeting is at 6 p.m. My attendance is requested but not required. That phrasing, requested but not required, means they're voting on something about me. Ask him directly if this is a removal vote. Long pause. Then he says, it's a discussion of leadership structure. Same thing, just cowardly language. Tell him I'll be there. Hang up and look around my office. Everything exactly as I left it, except somehow different. The Forbes cover looks hollow now, smile frozen in a moment that feels like ancient history. Awards and plaques from various industry organizations, all celebrating the wrong things, celebrating my gender, my breakthrough, my representation. Never celebrating the actual work, the actual product, the actual value created. Maybe that should have been a sign. Spend the day preparing for the board meeting. Not preparing arguments or presentations, just preparing myself. Trying to decide who I am if I'm not the CEO of this company. Trying to remember who I was before I became so focused on proving everyone wrong. Can't really remember. It's been too long. 6 p.m. arrives and I walk into the conference room. Everyone's already there, seated, waiting. Take my usual seat at the head of the table. Jenkins starts talking about fiduciary duty and shareholder value, about the need for experienced crisis management, about bringing in interim leadership while we stabilize. All the corporate speak, that means you're fired, but we're too polite to say it directly. Let him finish. Don't interrupt even though I want to. When he's done, asks if I have anything to say. Look around the table at these people. Some I've known for years, some are relatively new, all of them avoiding direct eye contact. Could fight this, could make them vote, could draw it out, have controlling interest in the company, could make this very difficult for them. But what's the point? What am I even fighting for anymore? Ask one question. Who are you bringing in to replace me? Jenkins looks relieved that I'm not fighting. Says they have someone in mind, experienced operator, proven track record in turnarounds. Ask if it's a man. Confusion around the table at the question. Yes, he says. Does that matter? Laugh then. Can't help it. Bitter sound. Of course it's a man. Of course the solution to my radical female leadership is conventional male leadership. The irony is so perfect it almost hurts. Tell them I'll resign effective immediately. Don't want to drag this out. Don't want to be the interim CEO reporting to some crisis manager. Jenkins starts talking about transition periods and orderly handoffs. Tell him to handle it however he wants. I'm done. Stand up and walk out of the conference room. Don't look back. Don't wait for responses. Go to my office and start packing. Not much personal stuff, really. I practically lived here, but didn't actually live here. A few photos, some books, the awards, I guess, though I don't really want them. Look at the Forbes cover one last time. That woman staring back at me seems like a stranger. So confident, so certain, so sure she had all the answers. Take it off the wall and put it face down in a box. Security arrives around 8 p.m. to escort me out. They're apologetic about it. Say it's just policy. Tell them, I understand, no hard feelings. They look relieved, probably expected me to cause a scene. Would have a week ago. But I'm too tired now. Ride the elevator down 34 floors in silence. Walk through the lobby where I used to feel such pride. Out into the evening air, where protesters are long gone. Nobody cares anymore. Already moved on to the next outrage. Sit in my car in the parking garage for a while. Not sure where to go, what to do, who to be. Eventually drive home on autopilot. Apartment feels cold and empty. Haven't spent much time here in months. Pour a glass of wine and sit by the window. Think about Angela's question. About when building something became about proving something. Think about all the women I told myself I was helping. Half of them resigned anyway. Couldn't stand working in the environment I created. Think about the men I fired, their faces, their careers. Told myself they deserved it. They were the problem. Removing them was the solution. But what did I actually solve? Didn't make the company better, made it worse. Didn't advance feminism, made it look ridiculous. Didn't prove women could lead, proved that bad leadership is gender neutral. The thing about being really smart is you can convince yourself of anything. You can build elaborate justifications for whatever you want to do, can cite statistics and data and metrics, can make the unreasonable sound reasonable. Spent months doing exactly that, building a case for something I wanted to do anyway. Wanted to fire all those men, not because of performance metrics. Wanted to fire them because I was angry. Angry at every man who ever interrupted me, dismissed me, underestimated me. Angry at the industry, at society, at the fundamental unfairness of everything. And anger is valid, the unfairness is real. But channeling that anger into mass firings didn't fix anything. Just created more unfairness, more anger, more damage. Sit with that realization for a long time. Pour another glass of wine. Think about what I could have done differently. Could have mentored more, fired less. Could have built slowly, changed culture gradually. Could have focused on creating something genuinely good instead of destroying what I saw as bad. But I was so sure, so certain I was right. Certainty is a kind of blindness. Phone buzzes. Text from Angela. Just says, "You okay?" Stare at the message for a while before responding. Type out, "No," then delete it. Type out, "I fucked up," then delete that too. Finally, just send, "Not really." She responds immediately. Want company? Do I want company? Do I want to admit weakness? Do I want to be vulnerable? Yes, apparently I do. Text back my address. She shows up 40 minutes later with Thai food and more wine. We eat in silence for a while. Finally, she asks what I'm going to do next. Don't know, maybe nothing for a while. She nods, says that's probably smart, asks if I've thought about what went wrong. Laugh. That's all I've been thinking about. She waits, doesn't push, just eats her pad thai. Start talking eventually. Can't seem to stop once I start. Tell her about the anger, the certainty, the need to prove something. Tell her about watching the company spiral and being unable to course correct. Tell her about the moment I realized I'd become the kind of leader I used to despise. Authoritarian, dismissive, convinced of my own righteousness. She listens to all of it, doesn't interrupt, doesn't judge. When I'm done, she asks one question. Asks if I still believe in the underlying problem, the unfairness that made me angry. Yes, of course, that's all still real. So what's the lesson? She asks. Think about it for a while. Lesson is that being right about the problem doesn't mean you're right about the solution. Lesson is that extreme actions have extreme consequences. Lesson is that you can't fix systemic issues by creating different systemic issues. The lesson is that leadership requires more than conviction, requires wisdom. And I had conviction but not wisdom. I had anger but not understanding. Had power but not perspective. She nods slowly. Says that's a good start. Start of what? I ask. Start of figuring out who you want to be now, she says. We talk until late. Eventually she leaves. Sit alone in my apartment thinking about that question. Who do I want to be now? Not the crusader, not the warrior, not the revolutionary. Those versions of me caused too much damage. Maybe just someone who does good work. Someone who treats people fairly. Someone who builds things that matter without needing them to prove something. Sounds simple, but feels impossible. Months pass, strange liminal time. The company brings in the new CEO. He's fine, competent, boring, implements normal policies, hires back. Some of the fired employees, settles the lawsuits. Within 6 months, the company is stable again. Within a year, it's growing again. Everything I built, saved by undoing what I did. Another lesson in there somewhere. Get offers from other companies, board positions mostly. People love a redemption arc. Want to be part of my comeback story. Turn them all down. Not ready. Maybe never will be. Start consulting instead. Small projects. Working from home. Help companies with actual problems. Supply chain optimization. Efficiency analysis. The boring stuff I used to be good at before I got distracted by being a symbol. Meet with Angela regularly. She becomes something like a friend. First real friend I've had in years. Maybe ever. She's building her third company now. Doing it right this time. Balanced team, reasonable policies, sustainable growth. Everything I should have done. One day she asks if I want to come work with her. Not as CEO, not even as executive, just as senior advisor. Help. Build something good without the pressure of leading it. Say yes before I can overthink it. First day at her office feels weird, being an employee again, but also feels right, appropriate, earned. No corner office, no Forbes covers, no grand vision. Just work, actual work, solving actual problems. Turns out I'm still good at this part. The part where you analyze systems and find efficiencies. The part where you build tools that help people do their jobs better. The part I loved before everything got complicated. Months turn into a year. Year turns into 2. Life becomes quiet, normal, almost boring. Sometimes see news about my old company. They're doing well. Got acquired eventually. Everyone made money. Happy ending for them. My name barely comes up in the coverage. Already forgotten. Used to think being forgotten would destroy me. Turns out it's actually kind of peaceful. No longer representing anything, just existing. No longer proving anything, just working. Sitting in a coffee shop one morning reading the news. Article about some new CEO, young woman, making waves in tech, talking about disruption and revolution and changing everything. Recognize the language, the certainty, the anger. Feel worried for her. Hope she figures it out before I did. Hope someone tells her that anger is fuel but not direction. That conviction is power but not wisdom. That being right about the problem doesn't justify any solution. Close the laptop and stare out the window. Think about everything I lost, everything I destroyed. The company, the reputation, the relationships, the years of work, the trust, the possibility. All of it gone, because I couldn't tell the difference between justice and revenge. Couldn't separate fixing things from breaking things. Couldn't see that the opposite of one bad thing isn't automatically a good thing. Sometimes it's just a different bad thing. Still believe the system is unfair. Still see the obstacles. Still get angry about interruptions and dismissals and underestimation. But now I do something different with that anger. Channel it into work, into building, into creating small improvements. Not revolutionary, not dramatic, not worthy of Forbes covers, but real, sustainable, actually helpful. Maybe that's enough. Maybe it has to be.